Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a romance recommendation video of just romances I think you need to read before the end of the year. These are all books that I personally have read this year. I don't know if all of these came out this year, but they're ones that I've absolutely loved and that I think a lot of other people have loved, that if you haven't read these yet, you need to get on it right now. They're books that I think you'll love, that you'll probably give 5 stars, hopefully. So these are ones you should be focusing your time on that you know are going to be a good read, because we only have 1 month left of 2021. So I'll go ahead and get to I think there's 10, there might be a little more. These are all books that you need to read before the end of the year. The first one I have, I think I always include this author's books on this list that I make every year, and that is Real by Kennedy Ryan. This was her romance release this year. Lacey and I got to interview her for our book club, Ravished by Romance. I can link that video down below if you want to see, but Kennedy Ryan is one of the most talented writers that I've had the pleasure of reading, and her books are just so good and emotional. And in this one, it is actually a Hollywood romance. We have our heroine who is an actress and our hero is a director. He's definitely very brooding and grumpy because he's had relationships with actresses in the past, and the last one he's had really crashed and burned, so he is like, I'm never getting together with an actress again on my set. And he goes to see this Broadway performance, and our heroine has finally been able to be the star of the show. She's the understudy and she's finally performing. He sees her and he's like, she is the one that is going to be in this movie, and it's a biopic about a famous musician, and so he wants her to play the lead, and she agrees. She's like, it's the role of a lifetime, but they both know if they even get together, they're gonna think that she's like sleeping her way into the top of being in the movie. He's not gonna be taken seriously, and so they don't want to be anything together. She also has a chronic illness, and I really loved how this book dealt with that and how she had to cope and deal with her illness while trying to work, and how that all plays out. And of course they fall in love, and it is a forbidden romance, and it is so good, so emotional. Be prepared with your emotions, I think, with any Kennedy Ryan book you read, but I absolutely love this and you need to read it this year. The next one is a romance that I read that I quickly became obsessed with, and it is one of my favorite age gap romances I read this year, and that is The Pool Boy by Nikki Sloan. This is book 2 in the series. I read this as a standalone, like it's the only book that I read in the series at that time. I've now read The Doctor, I went back and read book 1, but I like this better than book 1. This one, our heroine is in her late 30s. She finds her husband cheating on her, so she's like, that's it, we're getting a divorce, and she falls for her pool boy, who happens to be her best friend's son. He is in his 20s, so everything is fine, and he is undoubtedly like obsessed with her. I love a hero who just will be upfront and honest about, I like you and I want to be with you, and that's how Troy is. I loved his character so much. And there's also a secondary plot that has to do with them professionally, which I really love that plot as well, because then they had to work together, and I really loved that. And it's just, this was so good. I loved everything about it. It's definitely taboo, and they just genuinely liked each other and wanted to be together, and I was just like smiling the whole time I was reading this book. Flew through it in like 2 days. I could not recommend this enough. You have to read it. The next one you knew was going to be on this video. If you haven't read this yet, shame on you, and that is Forget Me Not by Kiwi Tyler. I've been talking nonstop about this book since I read this in the summer, and this one is an amnesia romance, one of my new favorite tropes from this year that I've discovered. Why have I not been reading amnesia romances before this? I don't know. I listened to the audio. It was fabulous. So if you have it at your library, I would check it out. That's how I found it, and I was obsessed. Our heroine and our hero are on the brink of divorce. There was cheating. This book deals with cheating. Know that going in. If you don't like cheating, just don't read this book because it's in here. But what happens is he gets into a car accident. She shows up and he's like, hey, like everything's fine. Like it's fine. Like why aren't you like coming around me? And she's like, we're getting a divorce. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I believe it's been 5 years, and he doesn't remember the time where their marriage crumbled. So to him, they're still like completely madly in love. And so he's devastated to hear that their marriage is almost over and that he cheated on her. So he has to really delve into what had happened and what caused him to act that way, because he is so angry with himself that he would let that happen and he would do that. And so it really deals with their marriage in trouble, which is another trope that I really love. So read this if you haven't yet. It's amazing. The next one is one that has been getting so much hype lately, and I agree. The book 2 to the duet comes out in December, and that is There Are No Saints. So if you haven't read this yet, pick it up now, because the next book comes out really soon, and this is just a serial killer romance, and it's amazing. Like, I love a good dark romance, and this one is dark. They really play twisted games with each other, and I just loved every second of it. Though he is like a stalker, so I feel like if you like You, like that's what our hero does. So in the beginning, our heroine is kidnapped, and is caught in between this game between two serial killers, and one of the serial killers becomes obsessed with her, and he's like, she is mine. He literally like rents out the room across from where she lives to spy on her because he's obsessed with her, and it's their romance, but he's supposed to want to kill her, but he is so obsessed with her that he wants to just claim her and have her as his own. And they're artists. He is very famous in the art world, and she's just trying to get her footing and get into the art world, and so he offers her like space, a studio space, because she's in dire need of it. And so then she gets twisted into this weird game with him, and it's just so good. If you like a psychopath romance hero, you're gonna love this one. Just read it, trust me. It's amazing, and I can't wait to read the second book in the duet, which is coming out very soon. So I was on a dark romance kick this summer, so that's where this one comes in. And so the next one you have to read is the duet. Oh my gosh, what is this duet called? The Anti-Heroes in Love duet. Wow, I just blanked. So this one is When Heroes Fall, and the next one is When Villains Rise. Gianna, darling, I love her book so much. I couldn't put her Fallen Men books on here because they're books like 5 and 6 in a series, and I don't want to do that to you, but go read her Fallen Men series. But this one is a duet where he is a mafia boss and she is a lawyer, and she has to represent him in court, and she's forced to actually live with him so he can like have updates, but he really just like wants her. And they end up living together, so it's forced proximity, and he is the sunshine and she is the grump. She is so angry because she had an ex who cheated on her with her sister, so she is not talking to them, and she's so jaded and hates love, and he is just like the life of the party. Everyone loves him. He's super close with his family, and he wants her, and so he's gonna have her. And book 2 has a lot more action in it, and this one has action in it too. It is a really great mafia duet, so if you like mafia romances, you need to pick this duet up. And it's only 2 books, so you get it done right away. The next one's one you've probably seen also like all over, and it is one that I wholeheartedly think that the hype is worth it, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. I just like could not say Allie for a second, but this is Raylo fanfic. This one is in academia, and we have our hero and heroine who are scholars. He is actually a professor at the university, and she is a graduate PhD student. She's a student there. She's a 3rd-year PhD student, and he is one that like judges PhD students and like all that stuff. I'm not in academia. Like I have my master's, but it's for teaching, and so like I was not in any of this like heavy duty PhD science-y stuff that they do, so I don't know all the terminology, but she ends up kissing him, not planned, because her best friend wants to date this guy that she had been on dates with, and she's like totally over him, but her friend's like, no, like I don't want to be that friend. So she's like, I'm over it, and to prove she's over it, she wants to kiss someone. So she kisses our hero, Adam, and he is just like super grumpy and everyone hates him, but he's such a softie, and I loved getting to know him, and their romance is so cute. They end up having to fake date because he wants to get funding for a project he has, and in order to be taken seriously, he wants to show like, I'm settled down and I'm not leaving here, and so he wants that funding, and so he's like, sure, we'll fake date for you and for me. And they fake date, and it's amazing, and it's just so adorable. And I love how like kind of nerdy they are, and how she slowly gets to know him, and she sees a different side of him than what everybody else sees, and it is amazing. This does also deal with sexual assault, so please know that going in, because it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it has to do with our heroine, and it's near the end, so know that if you pick this up, it's not just like only a super fun rom-com. And I don't know if I'd call it a rom-com, it's just really a cute contemporary romance, but know that it does deal with heavier subjects as well. Then I have the More Chronicles. I know this is not a new series, but I read the first 3 books back to back to back, and I'm obsessed, especially with Twisted Pride. So they are all mafia romances, and they are all 3 guys in the mafia together. The first one is really, he just falls for someone who starts working at a club that they own, or like a bar that they own, and he fights a lot there, and that one's really good. Then book 2, we have a Marriage of Convenience, which is so good. And then in this one, he kidnaps the rival mafia's like betrothed. So she's literally like on the way to her wedding and gets kidnapped, and they fall for each other. And this one's my favorite. It is amazing. Read these if you want a good mafia romance and you haven't read them yet. Another age gap romance I want to include is Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie and Cole. I absolutely love this book. I listened to the audiobook, and I'm obsessed. So she is a senior in high school, and she has some health problems, and her mother is no help whatsoever. And so our hero actually meets her because he's working construction next to the school. Her car is having issues, so he helps her, and they strike up a friendship. And then he slowly realizes that she has some serious health issues and needs help, so he offers to marry her to get on his health insurance, so she has help with her health issues. And so it also has to do with an eating disorder she has, so know that going in. But it's definitely a very slow burn friends to lovers, and it is amazing because he is older than her. I think he's like 30 and she's 18. So know that going in that there's a big age gap, but it's Marriage of Convenience, and I absolutely love this. Not everybody loves it, but I really loved it, and I think it's a great romance you should check out if you like a good age gap. And we get to see adorable scenes with his family, and she finds a family in him because she did not have a good family before. So please read this book if you want a good age gap. The next one is also one that I became obsessed with. I read the 3 books in the series. I read book 1 and then skipped to book 4 because I was excited. Then I went back and read book 2, which I didn't love, and I don't think I'll like book 3 because it's an accidental pregnancy. But book 4 in the series is Forbidden by Carlos Sorensen, and you can read it as a standalone. This one, amazing. It's a little bit of an age gap and a little bit of a forbidden romance because she works at a gym and she's like super into everything at the gym and teaching classes, and he is the new owner of the gym, and he's actually an ex-professional fighter, and he is a widower, and he is a single dad, and the daughter is hilarious. I love her, and our heroine babysits her nieces and nephews a lot, so they're in it too, which I loved. And she actually was obsessed with him when she was younger. She like had posters of him, would doodle like Mrs. whatever his name was. Like she had a celebrity crush on him, and now he's her boss. And it is amazing. He's super grumpy though because he is a widower. He's trying to raise this business off the ground, and it's just so good. Please read this if you hadn't had the chance yet. And the last book I have is A Lady of Rookscrape Manor by Catherine Moon. This one was pretty popular around Halloween time, and I had so much fun reading this. It is a reverse harem monster romance. So our heroine in the beginning meets this doctor, and he's pretty much like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's got 2 personalities kind of thing. And she is introduced to Rookscrape Manor, and she decides to move in and work there where she can have clients, and she falls for a vampire, an invisible man. We have a sphinx, I think, and a like stone man, and what I loved is they are all so different and they all have such an interesting dynamic together. I love this, and I'm so excited that we're getting a second book in the series because I think it has to do with the circus that was in here, which I really loved, and I just cannot wait to read more by this author because this book was just so fun. I loved how she became in these relationships with these men and how just smitten they were with her and how obsessed they were with her, and again, like I said, the dynamic between the men and with her, I just loved it. One of the best reverse harems I've ever read. You need to read this if you haven't yet. And those are some romances that I think you need to read before the end of the year. I hope you enjoy them. Let me know if you end up picking any of these up, or if you have read them, I would love to know. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.